Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Rishi, and in this video, we are going to take a look at a brand new series that I'm starting titled How to Study. So, before we start the video, let me tell you what this series is going to be about. So, this series is going to be all about how to study. You might think, you have been teaching, so what do you mean by how to study? So, for information, before I started teaching in this YouTube channel, I was also a student. And over the years, I have encountered lots of study methods and I've tried most of them and also tailored those techniques to suit my own needs. This is quite controversial, but all of us have not been taught how to study. We were told to study chemistry, physics, BM, English, but we have never been actually taught how to study, how to process the information, how to absorb the information, how to understand a material to the point where you can apply it to different problems. We have not been taught how to actually handle information that is being thrown at us. So this series aims to go through a few study tips that you can use right now to improve your studying techniques. So a disclaimer, it's not going to be a one-night wonder. The first concept that I'm going to introduce you to is forgetting curve. Have you ever had the feeling that you gave your best and you managed to memorize something or managed to understand a concept in its entirety, only to forget it after maybe 3 days or 4 days or 5 days? It is not just a you problem. Trust me, it is a universal problem. Unless you are born with a super memory or you have the savant syndrome or you're able to memorize everything that you see, which is very rare, for the rest of us, forgetting is a serious problem. So what happens is, according to Herman Ebbinghaus, found out through a research that whatever you study, if you do not repeat it or if you do not have any repetition to what you have studied, where you don't recall or you don't come back to the same material again, you have a higher tendency of forgetting it. So what he means by forgetting is, if you study something today, in 24 hours, there is a high likelihood that you will forget 70% of what you have studied. And then as it progresses further, in a week, you might even forget 90% of what you have studied. 70% and 90% are quite high numbers. It's nearly the entirety of the concept that you are forgetting. All of this is because you are not coming back to the material. This is a problem that most of us face. Even in schools where we are finishing our syllabus, we tend to just move on to the next syllabus and our teachers expect us to do the revision, which we should do in order to retain what we have studied. So the famous concept to minimize the effects of the forgetting curve is to interrupt the sequence. So whatever you have studied, have a schedule where you come back to the same material that you have studied in differing intervals. For example, if you study something on day 1, so repeat it after 2 days on day 3, and then after that repeat it after 1 week, and then repeat it after 2 weeks, and repeat it after 1 month, and then for a good measure, repeat it after 2 months. And if you really want to grant the memory for life, repeat it after 3 to 4 months, and then keep on going with it if you would like to remember something for life. So what I'm telling you here is, whatever you studied on day 1, after you've studied, repeat it at day 3, and then first week, second week, 1 month, 2 months, and 3 to 4 months after the initial studying time. This is incredible Because there is a concept in biology where your neurons start to fire in a specific sequence in order for you to remember something or in order for you to learn something. So when you repeat your studying sessions, what happens is the same neurons are activated every time. So the more they're activated, the more used to your neurons become, so that they are able to recall or let you apply a specific method you learned by firing the neurons at a much faster pace if you are repeating what you have learned. So here, this is what you have to incorporate with your studying timetable right now. I know that most of us tend to have the thinking that we only have to study during examinations. That's completely false. If you want to do well in examinations and if you want to be stress-free, I would highly suggest you to start your studying sessions in the beginning of the year itself. If you start studying earlier, what you'll notice is when you are nearing examinations, you will be stress-free because you will not have to go through the same materials at a very fast rate because you have already studied it prior in the beginning of the year. This is incredibly powerful. A fun story, one of my close friends, this guy, believe me or not, he started studying for SPM in Form 4 itself. And he spent nearly 10 hours every weekend studying up the material that we have learned and also studying ahead. And he also did SPM papers in Form 4 and Form 5. So his preparation was top notch that when we were nearing the last 6 months of our SPM examinations, the most prestigious examination in Malaysia for a high school student, he was completely stress-free. So much so that he started to focus on the easier subjects per se. For example, Pendidikan moral and moral studies, kind of that kind of topics, subjects, and he was just completely stress-free. Mind you, he was in the same stream as I was taking, which is science stream. Quite difficult, if you ask me. And the guy was just chilling. So that's the power of studying prior and interrupting the forgetting curve at every turn possible in order for your brain to remember everything that it is learning. In the next videos, I will be teaching you more study tips. Do not worry, we will have much more, and we will also be incorporating a few techniques that we learn here and there so that we get to the most optimal learning method. So, with that, as usual, thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Till then, bye bye.